Sam, thank you very much.
They've outgained their opponent, but as we know, that's not what leads to winning football games. You've got to protect the ball, and you've got to minimize the turnovers, and they're hoping tonight's the start.
Dallas has won the toss, selected to receive, so we'll get a look at Tony Romo and the Cowboys offense to start it. Akwasi Owusu-Ansah from the 5. And he's dropped at the 18. Tony Romo has gone from the ranks of the undrafted free agent and a 3-year backup to a record-setting 3-time Pro Bowler. Plenty of weapons. Marion Barber is a starter again, although we figure to see a lot from Felix Jones, who rushed for over 100 yards last week. And this offensive line has taken a beating throughout the entire week after allowing 6 sacks to Tennessee.
Yeah, but in their defense, Tom, not all 6 of those sacks should have been attributed to them.
Marion Barber on the first play from scrimmage. Barber grew up in this area. Wayzata, Minnesota High School, played collegiately at the University of Minnesota. And we're just underway for the Cowboys and the Vikings. And Troy, I don't know if you'd go as far as to use the word desperation, but a lot of folks feel that's the state for both these teams.
Well, we all know not many teams end up making it to postseason with a 1-4 start. And there were high expectations for both of these clubs, as we well know, coming into the year.
Barber appears to be a yard short of the first down. This is still a rock-solid Minnesota defense. The best front 4 perhaps in all of football. Pat Williams, Kevin Williams, Jared Allen, all Pro Bowlers. E.J. Henderson healthy again after ending the last 2 years with injuries. They're a little thin in the secondary. They lost Cedric Griffin to a season-ending knee injury on Monday night. 3rd and a yard. Barber has a first down up to the 31.
You talk about this Minnesota defense, Tom, and the secondary is very beat up, as we well know. Cedric Griffin out for the year. A starter at corner who missed the first 2 games, was just settling back into the position. And they've got some other young players. Asher Allen, number 21. It's going to be important as a result of that, with the weapons that Dallas has, that they are able to get pressure with their front.
Dangerous throw by Romo there, nearly intercepted by Chad Greenway.
Well, that would have been a heck of a way to start this game for Minnesota, because they have not been very good creating takeaways. And that was a chance there for Chad Greenway. He just buzzed underneath that route, and not an easy play to make, but one he certainly could have.
2nd and 10. Romo just looked like he had an eye on just throwing it away. And Antoine Winfield nearly ran that thing down. 3rd and 10.
Jared Allen only has 1 sack on the season, and here's one of the reasons why. He attracts a lot of attention. And you're going to see they come out with Felix Jones on him there, and they kicked out with Leonard Davis, the right guard, to try to shore up that backside protection for Tony Romo.
Green set up to Miles Austin and read beautifully by the Minnesota defense. And again, it's Antoine Winfield in his 12th season and still playing quite well for the Vikings.
He's an unbelievable player at 5'9", and you see him come out, and these are the types of things that he does. You see Andre Gerard, number 65, come out on the kick out, and Winfield is able to get underneath that and still get up and make a play. A very willing tackler, and has been throughout his career.
Greg Camarillo watches the punt from McBriar's sail out of bounds. So Brett Favre and the Vikings will get it when we return. First possession for Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings on offense. And their opening possession starts at the 28-yard line. Favre hit as he throws on first down, but Percy Harvin the reception up to the 37-yard line, a gain of 9. He took a hit from Jay Ratliff.
Yeah, well, they've got John Sullivan, their starting center, who is not playing again this week. John Cooper is taking his place, and he just whiffs on Jay Ratliff, and you get pressure like that right up the middle, you have no chance as a quarterback. He was fortunate to get that ball out of his hands when he did.
Short drop, and looking for Harvin down the sideline. He's out of bounds. So twice Favre has gone back to throw it, and twice he's taken a hit, that time from Keith Brooking.
Yeah, you can see Keith Brooking, the linebacker. He's in coverage on Adrian Peterson, and as soon as he sees Adrian Peterson stay in to protect, it frees him up then to come on the blitz, and he gets a free run on Brett Favre. 2 big hits on the first 2 plays of the game.
Peterson barrels his way up to the 40. That's good enough for a first down. Favre makes his NFL record 290th consecutive start and has the best running back in the league right behind him in Peterson. We'll see a lot of Jeff Dugan today as a second tight end, and up front a solid group. Question has been at center, where they're still without their starter John Sullivan. Peterson dropped for a 3-yard loss by Brady James. Let's check in for the first time back in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Second straight week the Packers go to overtime. Second straight week they lose in overtime. Dan Carpenter with a 44-yard game winner for the Dolphins, and Miami goes into Lambeau, knocks off the Packers 23-20. Of course, Tom and Troy, the last time we saw that Dolphin special teams unit, they looked awful against New England.
Of course, if you're Minnesota, you've noticed already today that Green Bay and the Bears have both lost inside the NFC North. Favre on a 2nd and 12 and finds Moss for the first time today.
You know, one of the questions was how was Dallas going to play Randy Moss, and they do not want to give up the big play. Obviously, they've got the safety here deep. He's about 25 yards deep, and they were one-on-one with Randy Moss and Michael Jenkins. Now the safety there, Alan Ball, is going to work to his side even when he is the only safety in the middle of the field. He will cheat to number 84.
3rd down and a yard, and again it appears Peterson has enough.
Nice first down. Sorry, Tom. That was a nice first down right there for Minnesota, considering on first down they took the loss on that running play.
Going to look at the Dallas defense. They play into 3-4. Mike Jenkins coming off a sluggish start last week against Tennessee. Alan Ball is playing with an injured shoulder. We'll keep an eye on him. And for the first time this year, it looks as though Adrian Peterson has fumbled the football. Now the question is, who recovered? Of course, that has plagued Peterson through his career. 20 fumbles, losing 13 since coming into the league, and this is a turnover.
I'm not sure Adrian Peterson ever really had it in his possession.
Fumble by Adrian Peterson. gives Dallas the football at the Minnesota 48. First big play of this game.
And that was just a gift by Adrian Peterson. I'm not sure what happened there. The ball was put in the right spot, and he just acted as if he wasn't aware it was going to be a handoff.
First carry of the game for Felix Jones, and he picks up 2. It'll bring up 2nd down and long. Let's go back to the fumble.
Yeah, you see Brett Favre as he drops back, and he gives them the ball nicely right there in his stomach, and Adrian's hands were just never in a position to receive the ball. And you think, well, maybe he thought it was a play-action pass, but none of the receivers were going out on routes. They were all blocking the defensive backs down the field. Clearly, it was a running play, and just a mental mistake, really, on Adrian Peterson's part.
Second and 8. They set up the screen to Felix Jones, and he has a first down. Run out at the 35. Well, Jones got a career-high 19 touches last week and rushed for 109 yards.
You know, coming into this season, the big concern along the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys was how would Doug Free play at left tackle, and he's been the least of their worries. He's probably been their most consistent performer. You see Felix Jones there last week for the first time this season had more carries than Marion Barber.
Jones tries to break it to the outside, is smothered by Greenway in pursuit.
You know, this Vikings defense has done such a good job throughout this year of just not giving up points. And they lost in weeks 1 and 2, only having given up 14 points. And you've got to be able to score more points than that in this league typically to win a game. But Leslie Frazier has done a heck of a job with this unit.
Well, they have 9 of their 11 starters back from the season ago, and the other 2 areas they feel like they've upgraded. Romo takes off and appears to be about a half yard shy of the first down. Needed to get to the 24. I think they'll spot it right at the 25.
Last year's playoff game against these two teams, Ray Edwards had a monster game with 3 sacks. He goes right through Mark Colombo and it gets the pressure then on Tony Romo. And the reason there was so much room, you're going to see E.J. Henderson, the middle linebacker, he turns and runs, and that's what opens up the middle for Tony Romo to get the kind of yardage he got.
Marion Barber, a perfect 5 for 5 on 3rd and a yard. You got to believe he'll get it again. He does. And gets another first down. That's been money in the bank for Dallas on 3rd and short.
With Dallas right there, they did a little bit like what Minnesota did prior to the fumble. They lost yardage on a first down run, but yet they're able to come back and pick up the first down. Minnesota has been excellent defensively on 3rd down this year.
Wade Phillips has won division titles twice in his first 3 years, but every season is seemingly under pressure. As head coach of the Cowboys, they lay it off to Barber. What a tackle. Again in the open field by Antoine Winfield.
That's not an easy tackle to make either. When you're talking about Marion Barber, who doesn't have great speed, but he's just such a power back that normally he'll just try to run through a smaller guy like Antoine Winfield, but Winfield gets him to the ground. Excellent job.
Play selection going against the grain for this Dallas offense so far this season. Well, handed off again, and down to the 15 is Felix Jones. In fact, Dallas is running the ball less than any team in the NFL through their first 4 games this season. Jason Garrett, we talked to him about that yesterday, and he said they would like to run it more often.
Well, and they have here in the early going.
Now, Romo pointing the other way.
First charge timeout, Minnesota.
The timeout was called along the sideline before the snap. Dallas knocking on the door, a big 3rd down upcoming. Third down and 6 for the Cowboys. We're in the opening quarter, 5:06 to play. And Dallas at the Minnesota 15-yard line. Last Monday night, this Minnesota defense held the New York Jets to 4 field goals inside the red zone. And looking for a stop here. Romo gets it away, and it's a touchdown to Roy Williams. Looked like Kevin Williams may have deflected that pass from Romo, but had enough on it. And it's 6-0 Dallas. The flag is down on the field in the end zone. You know what Wade Phillips is thinking? I mean, penalties have just killed this team. Troy Aikman, you talked about it before we got started here today.
Well, it's been a real problem, and the look on his face.
The touchdown is successful. After the touchdown, we have unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 19 on the offense for excessive demonstration. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. We will now attempt to try.
You see 93, Kevin Williams. He's the one who gets a hand on this ball, and yet Roy Williams is able to get in there and grab. That was a nice catch by Roy Williams. That's where he was going with the ball. So they're still able to score the touchdown. And of course, everybody remembers, Cowboy fans anyway, what happened last week with the unsportsmanlike conduct on Mark Colombo.
That was after they had tied the game. The unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in the end zone, setting up a big return, a game-winning return for Tennessee. But the Cowboys off and rolling. There's the excessive celebration by Austin. Well, after the fumble by Adrian Peterson, Dallas goes 48 yards in 8 plays on a 15-yard touchdown pass. Romo to Roy Williams. Well, Williams looks like a different player so far this year.
Well, he has really come on in the last couple of weeks. He's averaged over 100 yards receiving coming into this game over the last 2 games. But the biggest thing is that he's just caught the ball. That was not an easy catch there, but he has caught the ball almost 80% of the time when Romo has targeted him the first 2 games.
That'll be another penalty, having to kick off following the excessive celebration from the 15-yard line. And we asked, why are the Dallas Cowboys 1-3? If you look at all the other statistics out there.
Free kick out of bounds on the kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 45-yard line. First down, Minnesota. Timeout.
You look inside a lot of the stats, but things like this, penalties, have just made Wade Phillips shake his head all year. Turnovers have killed Minnesota the early part of this year. And by the way, they gave the fumble on the last possession to Brett Favre and not Adrian Peterson. So he still officially has not fumbled this year. He is dropped in the backfield by Brady James for a loss of a yard.
Well, you go back and take a look at the touchdown to Roy Williams. They clear out the inside with Jason Witten, and he's got a free run there on the slant route. If that hadn't have been tipped, it would have been an easy touchdown. I'm a little surprised Lito Shepherd, who they're relying on now because of the injuries in the depleted corner position. But you've got to threaten that guy a little bit more because he had a free run on the slant and really a pretty easy touchdown. And it would have been a lot easier had Kevin Williams not have gotten his hand on
it. Second down and 11, a high snap. And Favre with a fastball finds Kleinsaucer down to the 40-yard line. Should be noted, Nafahu Tahi is not active for the first time all year. And we saw in practice on Friday, they used a lot of Kleinsaucer and number 83 Jeff Dugan as a second and third tight end.
And I think the reason for that is because of this down right here. You know, go back to last week's loss to the New York Jets, and they did not do a very good job picking up the blitzers on third down, and Tahi missed a couple of those. They're trying to shore that up. They missed Chester Taylor, who was their third down specialist the last couple of seasons.
Albert Young is checked into the game for the first time. Blitz coming. And down goes Favre at the 49-yard line. Sends the ball there to meet him.
Well, we just talked about the third down back situation, and Albert Young, 34, he comes in, and you're going to see Gerald Sensabaugh come through, and Albert Young doesn't pick up anybody. He goes out in the route. They showed blitz from the start of the snap. Dallas did, that they were going to bring pressure, and yet Albert Young never saw it and never helped out.
So after getting great field position following the kickoff from the 15 and the kickoff out of bounds, Minnesota loses yards. Fair catch made by Owusu Asan, and Dallas will get it at the 16-yard line. Let's check in back in Los Angeles once again with Kurt Menefee.
Ravens and Patriots went to overtime tied at 20 with 2 minutes left in OT. Steven Gostkowski from 35 yards out. New England gets the victory 23-20 in OT. Patriots now 4-1. Tom and Troy.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. Troy, you and I will be in New England 2 weeks from today when the Vikings take on Tom Brady and the Patriots. Minnesota marked the return of Randy Moss back to New England less than 3 weeks after he was traded away. Felix Jones picks up a yard, 2nd and 9.
Well, it's pretty obvious here in the early going what Dallas wanted to do, and it's a lot like what they wanted to do last year in that playoff game, and that is not have to rely too much on having to throw the ball, because they've got to be able to slow down this pass rush of the Minnesota Vikings, and to neutralize that, you can do it effectively if you're able to run the ball, even though Minnesota historically has been one of the best against the run.
Drop it off to Felix Jones, and Winfield initially slows him down. Ben Lieber finishes him off up to the 23-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down for Dallas. And Marion Barber checks back in. They've given it to him a couple of times on 3rd and short. In the air, and it's intercepted by Henderson, and he's to the 15.
Tom, I'm not sure if Doug Free, the left tackle, just wasn't aware the ball was snapped, or they snapped it early, because he never got out of his stance. You're going to see him here at left tackle. He's still sitting there. And Jared Allen had a free run at Tony Romo, so Romo had to get rid of that ball much sooner than what he had wanted, and it hit one of the defensive linemen right there in the helmet. And another tip ball, and E.J. Henderson comes down with the interception to give the Vikings a short field. But that's the problem, that playing on the road, particularly here in Minnesota, it's what it does for you. As an offensive tackle, you have to look down at the ball first, make sure it's snapped. Doug Free didn't see the ball get snapped. He doesn't come out of his stance. Jared Allen with the free run.
Dallas turned the Vikings turnover into a touchdown. We'll see if Favre and company can answer. Blown dead before the snap of the football.
False start. Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's their 2nd-year right tackle out of Oklahoma, Phil Lodeholt. Already Favre under a lot of pressure, as he was last week against the New York Jets.
And this Vikings offense just has not been able to develop any type of rhythm. I mean, that is so important for successful offensive football, getting in and out of the huddle, having some things positive happen for your team, and they've just been very inconsistent, haven't been able to establish that rhythm. For the first time last week they were able to. They thought it would carry over. So far it has not.
Brady James right there to meet Adrian Peterson after maybe a gain of a yard. 2nd down and long for Minnesota. You're talking about a Viking team last year that averaged 29 points a game, 2nd in the league to New Orleans. They were 5th overall in total offense. Here they are this year, averaging only 15 points per game.
Well, Minnesota last year, Adrian Peterson more specifically, did not do much against the Cowboys running the football. And here in the early going, he has not done much either.
Percy Harvin, and a second-year receiver out of the University of Florida, takes it down to the 10-yard line.
Now Percy Harvin is finally getting to play really where he's best, and that's inside. And he's been having to do a lot of things. He's been their go-to guy since Sidney Rice has been injured. That changes with the addition last week of Randy Moss. But Brady James was in a good position to make the play. It's just Percy Harvin, when he's got a little space, he's got such great quickness. He is a difficult man to bring to the ground.
That's Sidney Rice, who had 83 receptions for over 1,300 yards last year. We're hoping to have him back in a couple of weeks. Favre, touchdown, Minnesota. First touchdown reception for Greg Camarillo.
Nice route there by Greg Camarillo. You're going to see him come out, and then he just runs a crossing route. He gets Orlando Scandrick overplaying it as if he was going to go to the flat. He comes back underneath him, and nice pitch and catch for the touchdown.
Traded for Camarillo late. Had a pretty good year last year for Miami. Caught 50 passes. Point after by Ryan Longwell. Each team with a turnover. Each team takes that into the end zone. Greg Camarillo, just his 5th catch this season, but his first touchdown reception to tie it at 7. Set to begin the second quarter in a game of extreme importance to each of these two teams, trying to avoid a 1-4 start. And up to the 21-yard line is Chris Gronkowski.
You know, they line Percy Harvin up in the backfield, and he's going to run a swing route here, and that's going to pull Scandrick outside because he's worried about the threat of Percy Harvin, and it pulls him out enough, which is why Greg Camarillo then is able to come underneath that. Now he's got to get some linebacker help to help with that because the Cowboys were in a zone coverage. But well-designed play there by offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell. The one thing you do know is when Percy Harvin is in the backfield, it's unlikely that he'll be blocking, so he becomes a real threat as a receiver when he lines up in that position.
Romo to throw it on first down, and again finds Felix Jones, who spins away from Lieber and is dropped over the 28-yard line. What a day on Fox, a doubleheader. And then coming up tonight, we shift gears to the National League Championship Series. Jonathan Sanchez, the left-hander, will start it for the Giants. Up a game against Roy Oswalt and the Phillies. That's right after football in high definition, only on Fox. Cody Ross spent most of the year with the Florida Marlins. Came over on a pickup for the Giants and had 2 home runs off Roy Halladay in a Game 1 win. Felix Jones about a half-yard short. It'll bring up 3rd down and maybe less than 1 for Dallas.
You see Felix Jones there running between the tackles, and there's this misconception that Felix Jones is just primarily an edge runner, and that is true. They want to get him the ball in space, let him use his speed and his quickness, but a much tougher inside runner than what he's credited for.
Barber again, and again he converts. That's 3 for 3 today on 3rd and 1 for Marion Barber.
Well, you put those big bodies inside for Minnesota, and picking up a yard is hard to come by. Of course, when you've got Leonard Davis, who struggled last week against the Titans, actually got benched there for about a quarter and a half and came back in, took accountability, said he needed to play better, but it's a pretty good matchup inside between big Leonard Davis and Pat Williams right there over the nose.
action, and Romo looking down the field. The defender slipped, and Miles Austin inside the 20 will take it to the end zone. And a flag all the way back at the line of scrimmage on the far side of the field.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 19. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Perhaps that's why the defender fell down.
Well, it will happen at the top of the route, I believe. He's working against Asher Allen. No contact there. And right at the top. Pretty easy call, really. You see Miles Austin, he extends the right arm, and he definitely pushed off as he's running the square in.
What a story Miles Austin has been, though.
Yeah, well, and he's got such, you know, I think he's one of the top 2 wide receivers in football, if he's not the best. The only guy who I think comes close to him is Andre Johnson there in Houston when he's healthy. And having said that, Miles Austin doesn't have to use that kind of technique to get open. He's got great speed, great quickness, and he had Asher Allen beat without having to use the right arm to push off.
So a 68-yard touchdown strike negated by the penalty. The screen to Felix Jones, and a nice play made by Asher Allen.
Jared Allen said he went back and really studied himself critically this week on technique and some of the things that he could do better, and that's one of them right there. He thought he was getting up the field just too much, and it was causing him to get to the quarterback just a half a step slow. Now he still doesn't get there for the sack, but you can see him trying to scrape right off the shoulder there of Doug Free at the left tackle position.
2nd and 18. Jones looking for running room. And brings it up to the 29-yard line. 3rd down and 12 upcoming for the Cowboys. And let's again check in with Curt Menefee.
How about this? Tim Tebow out of the shotgun. Around the corner and his first NFL touchdown. 5 yards on the score. Tying the game with the Jets at 7 in the 2nd quarter. Tom, Troy, and Pam.
Good for Tim Tebow. I had a chance to spend a lot of time around him, Troy. What a great kid.
I think Urban Meyer's missing him there in Gainesville.
Just a little bit.
Illegal substitution offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
It's already the 3rd penalty against Dallas, the 2nd one on this drive.
Felix Jones started to leave the game and head to the sideline, and then he turned around and came back, and boy, there's no reason, no excuse for those types of penalties. They happen, but when you're a team who's had so many penalties, going back to week 1, their loss against the Washington Redskins because of a holding penalty to end the game on Alex Barron, and it has not let up.
3rd and forever. They need to get to the 42. Barber slips one tackle and another, but is run out of bounds just short of the 1st down, so the Cowboys will punt it. A touchdown taken away. Well, you think back to a year ago, Troy, getting back to Miles Austin, a rookie free agent, was used primarily as a special teams player, then gets his first start last year about this time in Kansas City. Sets a club record 250 receiving yards, and next week 171. And no one has put up the numbers since then in the 16 games over a full year that Miles Austin has.
I mean, the strides that he took from when he first came into this league as a free agent, I mean, are really remarkable.
And now we'll have a stoppage and play again. Another Dallas penalty.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Now, if you can't even get a punt off. Wow, you see Joe DeCamillis, and he is beside himself right now. He's the special teams coordinator.
5 teams have committed more penalties this season than Dallas, and all 5 of them have played one more game. Camarillo brings it up to the 22-yard line. Well, Tony Romo's been down this road before in this building. .39 to play until halftime. A 7-7 game. Minnesota with a football from its own 21-yard line, and the first big run today, although a flag is down on the carry by Adrian Peterson. We'll see if it's coming back. Peterson averaging 120 rushing yards per game.
Defense number 94 lined up in the neutral zone. The penalty is declined. The result of the play, first down.
That's DeMarcus Ware. And even though they won't be charged with a penalty because it was declined by Minnesota, Troy, here we go again. It's 4 penalties. One of them takes away a Dallas touchdown.
Well, we talked about it coming in, Tom, that this is not an easy place to play, especially when you're trying to minimize the penalties like Dallas has had throughout the season. But those are typically, isolated to false starts. But these penalties Dallas has had have been ridiculous.
Peterson up to the 44-yard line. A very quiet opening quarter for Peterson. For Brett Favre, a pretty good start. 5 out of 6, 45 yards, and a touchdown pass to Camarillo.
Well, and we were at the practice on Friday, and I know that the elbow was a concern all week long. It was heavily discussed amongst the media. Tendinitis in his throwing elbow. And I tell you, if his elbow was bothering him on Friday, I'd hate to see how good he'd look if it wasn't, because he threw the ball about as well as anything I'd seen.
Saucer in the backfield, and Favre across the middle, and good coverage back there by Jenkins, and a flag comes in late. Jenkins was whistled for a pair of pass interference calls on Tennessee's opening drive last week.
You see the top of the route there. He's trying to fit the ball into Percy Harvin, and it looked like Jenkins got his right hand on his back, and this time they put Jim Kleinsasser in the backfield.
Defense number 21. Spot of the foul, automatic, first down.
And he wasn't quite able to get enough of Keith Brooking. One thing we've seen from Dallas already here in this first half, getting a lot of pressure on Brett Favre, bringing linebackers. You would expect to see that because of the problems the Vikings have shown with their backs in picking those things up.
It's a 23-yard penalty. Minnesota with the ball at the 32-yard line. Peterson again. And he is chopped down by Jason Hunter after a gain of maybe a yard.
Well, as you can see, Brett Favre has been under enormous pressure. Throughout this game, a number of knockdowns. Virtually every time he has dropped back to throw the ball, whether he's gotten it out or not, he's been taken to the ground. And at 41 years old, I mean, it's not so much how it's going to impact him in this game. I don't think that it will. But I can tell you, recovering during the week and getting ready for the next week is awfully difficult the older you get, and that's why I was really impressed that he was able to make it through last season the way he did.
Good kick to Harvin, who escapes the initial reach by Terrence Newman.
To follow up on that, of course, it's taken for granted that Brett Favre is going to play every week because he has. And at 40 last season, obviously, maybe the best year of his career. But what I was most impressed with at his age was the fact that he was able to continue that streak. And he has talked this week that if the elbow continues to bother him, he may have to take some games off. I have a hard time believing that he's not going to be on the field because of tendinitis in his elbow, based on everything he's been through throughout his career.
Third down. Favre looking. And is sacked all the way back at the 43-yard line by DeMarcus Ware. That's his 6th sack in the last 2.5 games, and Favre is slow to get up.
They run a little twist there on that backside of Brett Favre, and you're going to see it. They got Stephen Bowen who pushes up, and then DeMarcus Ware comes underneath. Now, Favre was trying to make a little bit too much happen there on that play. He was outside the tackle box, could have gotten rid of it. and then they could have attempted a field goal. But by Favre trying to keep a play alive, he takes a sack, and now they've got a punt.
Owusu Ansah stands at his own 10. And Chris Kluig punts it to the 12. Favre has been under pressure all day long, taken down here by Ware. We remain tied at 7 in Minneapolis. .734 to play until halftime. Dallas with a football from its own 17-yard line. See the numbers on Romo. The touchdown pass to Roy Williams. He's also thrown an interception, which led to the Vikings' only score. Felix Jones met by Kevin Williams on a first down carry.
Well, we saw the numbers there by Tony Romo, and what is important for Dallas offensively in this game is being productive on first down. And Tony talked about it yesterday and said that even if I'm going to get a 4-yard completion on first down, I've got to be willing to take that. I've got to stay ahead of the chains because they are so good defensively on third down. So what we've seen from Dallas, Tony has been good on first down completing passes. They've run the ball as they did right there with Felix Jones, positive yardage. And then on third down, they've been very good here in the early going.
Stay on the ground again. And it's Williams very close to another first down. Are we watching the official changing of the guard in Dallas, even though Marion Barber is still listed as a starter? The first 100-yard regular season rushing game for Felix Jones last week in a loss to Tennessee.
Second most carries last week in that game of his career. 15 rushing attempts. The most he's ever had was 16 rushing attempts, and that was last year in the postseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's definitely a guy that they want to see with the ball in his hands. But Marion Barber is such a great leader for this team that they don't want to lose him either. You know, he's a guy who's very well respected within that locker room.
And you figure to see Barber getting the football here on 3rd and inches.
Marion Barber's a little bit like Mark Colombo, their right tackle, that, you know, sometimes even what they contribute on the field, you can't undervalue what they mean to their teams. I think that both of those players do a lot within that locker room, and they really bring some toughness to that offensive huddle.
Well, 3 times on 3rd and a yard, they've given it to Barber, and he's converted all 3. Do they do it again? Yes, and he converts for a 4th time.
Sometimes you get in those types of situations, especially backed up, because this is a game of field position that you're just wanting to pick up the first down. But those first downs that Dallas has gotten in those situations have not come easy. And I would anticipate that if they get another one of those, that Tony Romo will see come back on some play action and try to hit a deep ball on a big play.
So 1st and 10, and Romo will throw it. Good protection, flag down. It's underthrown. Flag came from the far side of the field.
Before the snap of the ball, we have a false start. 82 of the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the first time in nearly an entire half we've called the name of Jason Witten.
Yeah, and he wishes you hadn't called it just now. You know, he's lined up at the tight end spot right here on the end of the line. You know, and I know what you're referring to as far as the ball being thrown in his direction. There was a time where, you know, he was the most targeted guy when Romo was throwing the ball, but that's been kind of handed off to Miles Austin.
Please, thank you.
And especially against Minnesota. The last 2 games that Witten has played against the Vikings, he's had 10 or more receptions in a game.
Well, he's an exceptional player, and you know, he can really do it all. I think he's the most complete tight end in football.
And of course, last week he passed Kellen Winslow for the 4th most receptions all time by a tight end. Well, there's Witten. And a big gain for Jason Witten. The flag comes in at the 35-yard line. And this one might be coming back. If it is, it would be already the 7th Dallas penalty of the game.
It looked like it might have been a push in the back by Martellus Bennett. At least that's where the flag was thrown. But that screen pass was set up beautifully.
You know, you look over the last 3 seasons, Dallas has had 14 games where they've committed 10 or more penalties. 14
There is no foul for illegal block in the back. It was determined that it was a side block. The result of the play is a first down.
So no penalty.
Well, the Vikings brought a blitz with Asher Allen on the corner off the edge, and Dallas had the perfect call on, and that's why Jason Witten was as open as he was and able to get the yards. Here's Martellus Bennett with what initially was viewed as a push in the back, and then they picked up the flag, and you know, that would have been disheartening for Dallas after another big gain bringing it back, but we're going to let that one go.
So it's a 30-yard gain on the reception by Witten. And Romo looking around. Felix Jones inside the 35 down to the 32-yard line.
You keep a play alive like what Tony Romo was able to do there. It's hard on those defensive players. They're immediately just bailing out and trying to get deep. Miles Austin was deep, but it opened up a lot of area then for Felix Jones. Good job by Tony Romo knowing where he was and getting it into his hands.
And much like last week against Tennessee, Felix Jones piling up the yards, whether it be on the ground or out of the backfield catching passes. We'll hand it to him this time. And he's dropped behind the line of scrimmage by Kevin Williams, one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the game over the past 8 years.
Boy, he really is. I mean, he has had a heck of a career coming out of Oklahoma State, and I know in talking with Dallas offensive line coach Hudson Houck, he was the guy that they were most concerned about coming into this game, because you know, an interior guy, rarely do you find someone with the kind of speed and quickness that Kevin Williams possesses, and he can beat a guy awfully quick. And once that happens, you have no chance, whereas off the edge, a quarterback can step up.
Gronkowski out of the backfield, and that'll be a pickup of close to 4, and a very important 3rd down coming up for Dallas. 7-7 game. We're under 4 minutes to play until halftime, and you can't say it enough. Each team at 1-3. Somebody's going home 1-4, and that's a long road back.
Yes, it is, and depending on what happens here on 3rd down, their place kicker, David Beeler, has struggled, and his average field goal attempt this year has been about 40 yards. And he may be attempting another one about this area if they don't get many more yards or don't pick up this 1st down on this play.
Well, right now, it'll be about a 46-yard attempt. 8th play of the drive, and Romo is going to run it for a 1st down and then some. Slides his way to the 14-yard line.
Well, this is what happens when you play man coverage. In Minnesota, you're going to see everybody running with a man. They bring the linebackers inside, and then they drop them back, pick up Jason Witten. And for a quarterback, when you see that, you know, Tony Romo's not regarded as much of a runner. Close to getting a face mask call there, but he's not really known as a runner. But when you recognize man coverage and you're able to get past that initial rush, there's just nobody then defensively accounting for the quarterback.
Gronkowski again wrapped up after a gain of 6 on 1st down by Winfield. Gronkowski inactive with a strained groin last week. Signed as a free agent out of the University of Arizona. So a couple of receptions for him, and that takes us down to the 2-minute warning. A 7-7 game in Minnesota. Been a very impressive drive for Tony Romo and the Cowboys. Not only 4 out of 4 53 yards, but had the big 14-yard run to keep this drive alive. Meanwhile, Brett Favre standing and cheering his defense in his 7-7 game. A 2nd down and 3 for Dallas at the 8-yard line. Marion Barber trying to break it to the outside and tripped up by Greenway. It brings up 3rd down and a couple for the Cowboys.
Well, this is a heck of a drive right here by the Dallas Cowboys, and they've done it, really being balanced, something that we've not seen a lot from them. In fact, very little throughout the early going of this season. But they have definitely committed themselves here in the first half to trying to get the running game going to at least slow down the pass rush if they weren't able to get yards on the ground.
Quarterback draw, and Romo has a 1st down inside the 5, down to the 2.
Well, that was a called keeper there by Tony Romo. Initially, he's going to follow in behind Marion Barber, but there really wasn't a lot there. You're going to see Romo wants to go to his left, but does a good job there of then getting in behind right guard Leonard Davis. And you'd say helmet to helmet, but he's a runner once he touched the ball, and he's no longer afforded the protection that he's afforded in the pocket as a quarterback.
40 seconds to play here in the first half. Romo, the jump ball for Austin, and that never had a chance from the start. Defended by Asher Allen, 2nd down.
Second ball, Minnesota's 2.
13th play of the drive upcoming. We're down to 32 seconds to play until halftime, and Dallas has all 3 timeouts remaining. Touchdown again to Roy Williams. And the Cowboys have their 2nd lead of the afternoon.
That's just a great throw right there by Tony Romo, and an excellent job by Roy Williams being able to pick that one up. You're going to see it was a little congested in that area. Roy Williams again on the slant route. That ball had a little hum baby on it too, and just a well-placed ball by Tony Romo, and it goes back to the Roy Williams. He has really done a heck of a job here in now the last 2.5 ball games. A polarizing figure. Of course, high expectations with the trade, but he's playing well right now.
Point after is good. 2nd time Romo has found Williams in the end zone, and the 2nd time the Cowboys have a 7-point lead. Roy Williams making a few fans here in Minneapolis. Of course, the NFL over the course of this month celebrating breast cancer awareness, a crucial catch to make sure there's early testing for women. And they've done a beautiful job with this program. And a 2nd touchdown catch of the game for Williams to put Dallas in front 14-7 with less than 30 seconds to play until halftime. And Percy Harvin brings it out to the 29-yard line. Williams giving out gloves, giving out balls. Romo's jumping around. Things looking good for Big D. Well, 22 seconds left until halftime. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, some thrilling finishes. Overtime, Ravens and Patriots, Dolphins and Packers. Guys will bring you up to speed. As apparently the Vikings are just going to run out the clock as Peterson will pick up 11 yards. Even though the Vikings have 2 timeouts left, now will spend a timeout. And we talked about Brett Favre and how good he looked at practice despite the elbow tendonitis, coming back from the ankle surgery after last year losing in the NFC Championship games. And of course, now mired by an NFL investigation for inappropriate behavior dating back to his only season with the New York Jets. He is scheduled, we're told, to meet with league officials on Tuesday There's a lot going on there for Brett Favre, and here he is, 41 years old, trying to get this team back together in this season again.
Yeah, a lot of people at home, I'm sure, would say, how is he then able to go out and play with a clear mind? I think this is the time during this 3.5 hours that he's on the field that he's able to escape all that.
He's going to throw it. Nope, going to be sacked. Back at the 35-yard line, Jay Ratliff's there, and that's the way the first half will come to an end. 14-7 Dallas. Stay tuned for the Visa halftime report coming up after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
What time is it?
5 teams going back to 1990 have started a season at 1-4, and only 5 of them have found a way to get into the playoffs since they went to the current 12-team format. Tom Brenneman, Troy Aikman, Pam Oliver back here in Minnesota. For so many years, after not being drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, Randy Moss, when he plays against him, tears him up. Only 1 catch in the first half. Do you look for him to be more involved in the second half?
Well, I would sure hope so. I mean, only targeted 1 time. They first have to be able to protect. Brett Favre. But if you take a look at what happened here in the first half, they're going to work a safety, as I said. Alan Ball typically is going to be over the top, but that's nothing new for Randy Moss. He has seen this many, many times, and Brett Favre knows this as well, and he has said, I'm going to give Randy Moss plenty of opportunities. In last week's loss to the Jets, he got targeted 10 times. And in the first half of this one, as I said, just once, and I would expect that to change here in the next 30 minutes.
Of course, Randy Moss said he has forgiven but not forgotten Jerry Jones for leading him and his mother to believe the Cowboys would draft him with the 8th pick back in 1998. You were still playing for Dallas. They were concerned about character issues with Randy Moss, so they chose Greg Ellis instead.
Well, we played against Randy his rookie season there in Dallas on Thanksgiving. He had only 3 receptions in that game, but all 3 went for touchdowns and over 100 yards receiving. So you're right. He has had some big games against the Cowboys, but so far in this one, not what he had expected in his homecoming back to Minneapolis.
Percy Harvin into the open field. No one will catch Harvin. And what a way to start the second half for Minnesota. He had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns as a rookie a season ago. It's his first this year.
Well, that'll get this crowd going a little bit. Just a middle return. You're going to see 2 guys had opportunities to make tackles on Percy Harvin. One there, another one right there. Ain't no catching him once he gets out in the open field. Barry Church, the last one that had a chance to maybe get Harvin on the ground.
Well, it's good. For the electrifying Percy Harvin. The NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year a season ago has ignited this crowd at the Dome. 14-14, just seconds into this second half in Minneapolis. From the 4-yard line, Owusu Ansah, and he is met right at the 20. Let's check in downstairs with Pam.
Well, Tom, Brad Childress using his crystal ball when I talked to him at halftime. I said, how do you get something going? He said, we take the kickoff for a return. That'll be nice. And also Wade Phillips, he was very livid about all those penalties. He said, those are killing us. We should be killing them. Meantime, running back Felix Jones, he got a little sick in the first half. He went in early and got an IV, but he said to be fine. Back to you.
And we're just being told now from the Dallas locker room that their left guard, Kyle Kozar, is out of the game, so taking over at left guard has played a lot this year, Montre Holland.
He has, and he has played well. He came in last week and played for right guard Leonard Davis there for about a quarter and a half, and he's done a nice job when given the opportunity.
Play action did not fool Gerald Allen. Let's take a look at some of the numbers from the first half. And really, Dallas does what it does to everybody. They pile up the yards. They manage 14 points. Penalties did hurt him, but a lot of pressure on Brett Favre.
Well, yeah, that's right. And the penalties, there's no doubt it affected them. But I thought overall they were able to do some nice things. Most importantly, offensively, creating some balance and sticking with the running game. You take Romo's runs out of the first half, and that rushing total looks far different, but they stuck with it.
Jones, bang, got a bounce by Henderson and Lieber.
You know, Tom, I don't know about you, but I can't recall, and we're early in the season, but I can't recall so many games in the National Football League through the first 4 or 5 games being affected so dramatically by special teams play and the kicking game. And not that that unit is not important, it always is, but man, it has really cost a lot of teams. Dallas last week, yeah, there was a penalty and they had to kick off from their own 15-yard line, but a 73-yard return essentially cost them the game last week against the Tennessee Titans.
Talk to your old buddy North Turner about special teams.
Yeah, no kidding.
Set up a screen to Marion Barber. That's a really nice open field tackle yet again by Antoine Winfield, and Dallas will punt.
You know, Dallas had done a nice job there in that first half of kind of taking this crowd out of the game. And maybe the offensive play by the Vikings did that for them. But right now, this crowd's getting back into it. And after the return by Percy Harvin for a touchdown, an outstanding defensive series there by Minnesota.
Camarillo stands at his own 25. Nearly blocked. Lots of running room for Camarillo. Got a block. Flag down. And then is wrestled to the ground at the 40. But again, we wait on the penalty flag. Jesse Holley coming up to make the stop. That's a fellow who had a chance from your old partner Michael Irvin, your old running mate when he had that reality show.
Return, holding, return team number 41, 10-yard penalty, first down Minnesota, timeout.
You're right around 40, 45 and older. Could you ever forget those eyes? Vikings legendary head coach for 18 years, Bud Grant. That was then. This is now.
We had a chance to visit with Coach Grant on Friday, as you see there, and what a wonderful man he is. He has an office at the facility and actually is here at the ball game. Has a suite that the organization provides him to come to the home games.
Brett Favre on first down, and there's Randy Moss. You thought they might target him more frequently in this second half. Their first play from scrimmage, a completion to Moss. Boy, Bud Grant still looks great. He goes fishing every day, an avid outdoorsman, and what a delightful man.
He's a heck of an athlete, too. He was a 3-sport star at the University of Minnesota and actually was drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers of the NBA and won 2 world championships with them before going on to play for the Eagles. One year he led the team in sacks. The next year he moved to wide receiver and was second in the league in total yards receiving. I don't know many that could do that today.
No. Favre again to Randy Moss, and that's a first down. 1 catch in the first half. 2 plays from scrimmage in the second half and 2 Moss catches.
Well, you see the respect that he's going to get. Michael Jenkins is bailing out. They're trying to, they call that a buzz technique with Keith Brooking in order to provide basically a double team on Randy Moss. Michael Jenkins stays deep. Brooking comes underneath, but even with double coverage, this is a guy who can get down the field, and they want to utilize that. These throws they're hitting him on right now are not what they have in mind. They'd like to take advantage of his big play ability.
Peterson picks up 3 on a first down carry, stopped by Sensible.
I thought it was interesting last week. in that game against the Jets after talking to both Brett Favre and Randy Moss this week that the touchdown catch that he had against the Jets, the first touchdown, that wasn't even a design play. He just basically told Favre when they came out of the huddle, I'm going deep. And Favre didn't really know what exactly that meant. If it was a deep post or a go route or what, and Favre just dropped back and heaved it, and it was a pretty good play. I think they ought to call that one up a few more times.
Favre fakes one way, back to Moss the other way. And Favre is still down, hit by Igor Olshansky.
He has taken a lot of hits in this game. You're going to see Igor Olshansky right there. And Steve Hutchinson thinks he's in a pretty good position. Didn't anticipate that Favre would be so shallow within the pocket. And he got a pretty good lick on him, but a well-thrown ball right there. He had safety help over the top, but that's that little void in the zone to where you can get the ball in there if you make the perfect throw, as Favre did.
Peterson, man, is he something. Is there another back in the league that can turn that into an 8-yard gain? There is a flag in the backfield. This might be coming back.
Holding. Offense, number 81. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
Well, that's a pretty easy call there. They get Visanthe Shenko, and it was on Anthony Spencer. Spencer was in a good position. He was outside leverage in order to keep Adrian Peterson from getting out on the edge. You're going to see it here, but he's just not able to get away because of the hold by Visanthe Shenko. But you're right, Adrian Peterson, and you know, even though they credited Favre with that fumble, you know, that was on Adrian Peterson, and I'm sure that didn't make him too happy. And you get an upset, angry Adrian Peterson, that becomes even more of a load for any defense.
Short drop, good throw, and the first catch of the afternoon by Bernard Berrian. Boy, how he has really been passed up so frequently in this Minnesota offense. He was a big part of it a couple of years ago. Heck, caught 55 balls last year. That's only his 6th catch this season.
He was one of the first guys that Brad Childress brought in when he got named the head coach, and he needed some big playability down the field. He was that guy with Tavares Jackson as his quarterback, and when Favre took over last year, that guy became Sidney Rice, and Bernard Berrian's been a bit of an afterthought here this year.
Blitz coming. Favre gets it away. Outstanding read there by Sensabaugh. A 3rd and long, and a late flag comes in from a secondary. This could be a helmet-to-helmet hit.
It might be on Bernard Berrian. Looked like he might have come in late at the end of that play and taken a shot on somebody. See Bernard Berrian, number 87, right there on Jason Hatcher.
And Brett knew it.
Personal foul, late hit, offense, number 87. 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Minnesota going the wrong way.
Yeah, and we've seen Dallas going the wrong way at times today too, and then that explains why we've got 2 1-3 teams that we're looking at here today.
They had first down at the Dallas 38-yard line. They're almost back on their own 38. 3rd down and 33. It was handed off to Peterson and punted away. crowd booing, but you got to wonder what in the world they're booing about. Favre's getting hammered back there, and on 3rd and 33, he was the happiest guy in the joint. They decided to hand it off.
Well, that's one of the privileges of being a fan. You know,
you're right.
You get to second guess, and it's all based on result. But I like the call because, as you just said, Favre has taken some pretty good hits here in this ball game, and 3rd and long against some of these pass rushers, there's no point. The odds that you're going to do anything with that are pretty slim.
Has returned a punt for a touchdown already this year. And what a punt that will be down inside the 5 by Chris Kluwe. 53-yard punt. Take a look ahead to next Sunday, the NFL on Fox. Many will see the Redskins and the Bears. Others will see the Eagles, Titans, Niners, Panthers, Rams, and Bucks. And on afternoon game, Arizona at Seattle. Seattle a big win today in Chicago. Here it's 14-14, 8:34 to play in the 3rd quarter. Felix Jones met at the line of scrimmage by E.J. Henderson and Medea Williams. Minnesota having a healthy E.J. Henderson again at middle linebacker. He was their leading tackler in each of his first 3 seasons and has had season-ending injuries in each of the last 2.
Yeah, they didn't even expect that he would be able to play this early in the season, and he surprised everybody by that. And then, even more importantly, he has played well here in the early going.
Catch made by Roy Williams. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
How about the Phillies' Ryan Howard? Started his day watching the Eagles stuff the Falcons with our own Tony Siragusa. Then hopped into the carpool lane with a Philly fanatic and headed over to the ballpark to get ready for Game 2 of the NLCS tonight, which comes your way after your game is done. And we are done with the OT right here on Fox. Tom, Troy, and Pam.
Looking forward.
Offense number 65. Half the distance to the goal. Replay, 2nd down.
Andre Gerard, their 4-time Pro Bowl center, who injured his knee very late this week in practice. They weren't sure about his availability.
Yeah, it's an interesting, because of where they're at on the field, they didn't get much out of that penalty, that being the Minnesota Vikings. They were going to be faced with 3rd down. The Cowboys were. The Vikings elect to take the penalty, back them up a little bit, but gives Dallas 2 more chances to pick up that first.
Third down and long from the 1.
Boy, you're not going to make much money running inside there against this Minnesota defensive front. Pat Williams has been doing it a long time, and he just doesn't move very easily. Right here, you're always guarded. The last thing you want to do as an offense is take a sack. You don't have much room to operate. It's awfully loud down there, backed up into the opponent's end zone. But I would expect to see Dallas do some play action right here.
Barber picks up a couple of yards, and now Matt McBriar is going to punt from his own end zone.
Yeah, not any room for him. I mean, he's going to have to adjust his depth from where he normally takes the snap to punt. And Minnesota should get excellent field position off of this.
Closing in on 6:15 to play in the 3rd quarter. We're tied at 14. The winner improves to 2-3. The losers in big trouble at 1-4. Camarillo from the 43 crosses midfield. Take a look at the leaders offensively for Minnesota. Brett Favre very accurate today. Not a lot of yards. Does have the 1 touchdown pass. And Randy Moss only 1 reception in the first half. Has 3 to begin the second half.
Well, they got him more involved there on that last possession and getting some balls in front of that safety. And Adrian Peterson, who started the game off very slow running the ball, has had much more success here on the last several carries, which is what you would expect. The problem has been is that Minnesota just has not been able to match offensive snaps with what the Cowboys have had.
Intercepted and taken the other way by Mike Jenkins.
Yeah, that was a dangerous throw right there by Favre. You see Favre, he starts to roll out to his right and then throw it across the field. That was very dangerous. If he had led Harvin up the field at all, that was 6 points the other way for Michael Jenkins.
Harvin on a 2nd down and 10. He turns a corner and is very close to a first down. Needed to get to the 39.
Now they put Harvin in the backfield again, and as I said, they're not going to use him much as a blocker. Here he is here, and they're just going to hand it to him and let him run the sweep. It's a little bit like you'd see out of a Wildcat, other than he's not the one taking the snap from center. You know, he's able to do just so many different things, as we all know, and he did do that in college. Just lining him up in different spots and getting the ball and allowing him to make plays.
Peterson off the left side for a couple. Of course, Brett Favre last week against the Jets eclipsed the 500 touchdown mark. Take a look at the receivers who caught memorable touchdown passes from Favre. Sterling Sharp, #1, followed by Edgar Bennett, Tyrone Davis, Amon Green, Greg Jennings, and then outside of a Green Bay uniform, it was Randy Moss from 37 yards away.
You know, that's a humbling graphic for a guy like me, because Favre has thrown 335 more touchdowns than I have.
And you're in the Hall of Fame.
I think he'll be going too.
Well, probably pretty good chance of that. To the 31-yard line.
Actually, make that 336 because he threw one today also.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, but even more unbelievable, and you and I talked about this at length the other day, the 290 consecutive starts in this game at that position.
You know, I know Cal Ripken and what he did as the Iron Man was awfully impressive. I just don't think anything comes close to what Favre has done playing every snap as a quarterback.
He's not missed a start since 1992. He'll miss a snap every now and again, and then look at this. Vintage Favre drops it off for Klein Saucer, and he's down to the 10.
On the snap on the play, Favre was ready for it. It was just a low missile shot by John Cooper. I mean, this thing comes down low right at the knees, and Favre is able to, he's just looking for a chance to get it out. Ends up being a pretty positive play.
You know, why not smile about it?
Yeah, why not? You know, you go back to that streak, and I think that as a teammate, that's the best thing you can ever say about a teammate, was that he showed up each and every Sunday, and you could count on him being there. And
that's what Brett Favre spoke with us about the other day when we asked him about the NFL investigation and not like having that take away your focus on the field. And he said, look, you know, whether it was his father who passed away, his wife diagnosed by breast cancer, said he's always had phenomenal teammates, and he feels the same way here in Minnesota. This situation, and we didn't get into the details. I don't feel like it's my business or really anybody else's to sit around and talk about for hours. But having said all that, I mean, Favre said, look, I've gotten a lot of support from these guys.
Well, and you would expect that. And as I said, I think this time out on the field is the time when he's really able to escape all those things.
Percy Harvin. And he's down to the 5-yard line. little extra pushing and shoving going on there. Herrera in the middle of all that, along with the free safety Alan Ball.
It's a good job right there, though, by that offensive line on the right side, along with tight end Basante Shenko, and got some good push and a nice gain by Percy Harvin.
3rd down and a yard. Minnesota has not led in the game today. Peterson sniffing the goal line and maybe a half-yard short. It is 1st and goal Vikings.
Eligible. 62 is eligible.
62 is Ryan Cook, who started last week at center. He's brought in as an extra offensive lineman. Touchdown, Adrian Peterson. Behind the 7-time Pro Bowler Steve Hutchinson.
Well, they did. They blocked down. You're going to see this left side of the offensive line. They blocked down here, and Dallas still had an opportunity to get to Adrian Peterson. Looked like Keith Brooking had a chance there, and he just failed to make the tackle. Not an easy thing to do against Adrian Peterson.
Point after is good. So for the first time this afternoon, Minnesota is in front. But a full plus quarter to play at the Metrodome. Working on a short field after a good punt. 9 plays, 49 yards.
You know, you see Favre right there pointing to his ribs. He took a hit there in that drive, and you could tell he was in some discomfort over on that Viking sideline.
Tripped up all the way out to the 35-yard line. There's Owusu Ansah. Good field position for Dallas. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, an all-new House. As the smallest patient fights to survive, can House perform a miracle? It's a medical mystery that will surprise you until the very end. 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised.
Here's the shot here where we think that Favre took the shot that he was pointing to, the helmet there on the right underneath. You know, even though Romo also, even though he hasn't been sacked in this game, he's been knocked to the ground a number of times too.
Can Romo and the Cowboys answer? Trailing for the first time today. Felix Jones up to the 38-yard line. It'll bring up 2nd down and 7.
I think you go back to that touchdown drive by Minnesota, all set up by special teams. You know, the Vikings had to punt. They pinned Dallas back inside the 5-yard line. Dallas unable to pick up a first down, has to give the ball with great field position. And the Vikings only had to go 49 yards for that touchdown.
Jones bottled up at the 42-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and 3, and they'll change end of the fields. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Harvin started things with a kickoff return for a touchdown to tie it. But Minnesota comes back to take the lead, and we're back after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. A couple of key injuries today to starters. Kozar along the offensive line for Dallas. And Hussein Abdullah been replaced by Jamarcus Sanford at strong safety for the Vikings. A 3rd and 2 to begin the 4th quarter. And Witten still on his feet to the Minnesota 42. That's a big 3rd down conversion for Dallas.
It's interesting, though, if you look at Dallas offensively in this game, you know, as I've said, they've done a good job of maintaining balance. They've run the football. They don't want this to become a game to where Romo's just dropping back and throwing it. But when they have thrown it, they've not really been able to get the wide receivers that involved. We've seen Roy Williams with the 2 touchdown receptions, but Miles Austin, I believe he has 1 catch. Of course, the 1 called back because of the offensive pass interference, but not a lot of action to these wide receivers.
Looked like they were setting up a screen to the tight end Martellus Bennett there. 2nd down. Oh, your regular partner, Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, and the gang standing by in Philadelphia. Game 2 of the NLCS coming up tonight.
It was a heck of a game last night. The Giants, they were in a battle to get into the postseason, along with the Padres there, and they played well here in the postseason. Of course, they played well down the stretch in the regular season too.
There's not much running room when they've tried it for Felix Jones today. That's his 13th carry for less than 30 yards.
Yeah, they're just not getting a lot going, and you know, when we talk about it, the numbers for Minnesota, if you just looked at their ranking defensively in run defense coming into today's game, it would tell you that they were 14th, but they were only giving up 3.9 yards per carry, which was actually the same as they gave up last year when they ranked 2nd in the league in rushing. It's just that teams have been able to stick with it more because they haven't had big leads like they had last year, just like what we're seeing from Dallas today.
3rd down, 4-man rush. Romo gets it away, and maybe a yard short of a 1st down is Miles Austin. And does Wade Phillips think about going for it here on 4th down?
Well, I think he will, you know, based on the score and as close as they are, and sure enough, they're bringing in their short yardage guy, Marion Barber. And I said earlier in this situation I would expect play action pass. I think they're going to hand it to Marion Barber here.
Well, Barber today is 4 for 4 on 3rd and 1. This one is 4th and 1. Make it 5 for 5 for Marion Barber. Well, there might be people out there, Troy, that want Felix Jones as a primary back, but this is a guy when you got to have this yard.
Yeah, and when he had to go laterally right there, that didn't look real good initially for Dallas picking up that 1st down. You know, they wanted him to get in behind that right side and just go straight ahead, but he had to bounce it, but he was able to get the 1st down before he got contact.
Under 12:30 to play, a fresh set of downs for the Cowboys at the 30.
False start. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
I don't think Romo liked that too much. They had movement there by Doug Free, the left tackle, but Pat Williams, he just comes right off the ball and then gets a shot in on Romo.
That is the 6th penalty against the Dallas offense. In the game today, they're 8th overall. Jones to the 30.
Does a nice job right there by Minnesota. Once the ball got into Felix Jones's hands, they converged on him very well, and this defense has done a nice job throughout this year. And one of the areas where they've also been very good is not giving up a lot of big plays. And because they haven't given up big plays, it's really the main reason as to why they haven't given up very many points. Hard for teams to drive the ball methodically against this unit.
Another screen to Felix Jones. There's been some very, very good tackling by Minnesota in the open field. That time it was LaTroy Guion, a backup defensive lineman.
I've always liked this defensive unit. You know, of course, the defensive front with Jared Allen and Kevin Williams, Pat Williams, and then, of course, Ray Edwards, the way he has come on. But those linebackers are probably an underrated group across the league. I think they're an excellent group of players, and they play hard.
Third down. Touchdown to Des Bryant. He beat Lito Shepherd, and now a point after away from tying the game at 21.
Well, Lito Shepherd's had a tough afternoon. The 2 touchdowns that Roy Williams had there in the first half were against Lito Shepherd. You're going to see Miles Austin in the slot. He's going to take the safety out of the way there. It's Jamarcus Sanford that he clears out, and then it's one-on-one on the outside with Lito Shepherd.
That's the first touchdown reception by the first-year wide receiver Des Bryant, a first-round pick this year out of Oklahoma State.
Like Lito Shepherd might have been expecting a little safety help, but he carried Des Bryant all the way up the field.
Point after deflected, but had enough carry to clear the crossbar. Bryant, the touchdown reception. We're even at 21. Des Bryant, his first career receiving touchdown. He ran back a punt, of course, earlier this year against the Chicago Bears.
I tell you, for a rookie, he has been awfully impactful in the early part, and a guy who's been having to battle through a lot of injuries here in the early going.
Now they've got to kick it away to Percy Harvin. Healer was so good with booming kickoffs last year, but since becoming the regular field goal kicker, he struggled. Good coverage this time, however, by Dallas. Remember back when Dallas scored the first touchdown? They were flagged for this. Well, Miles Austin, a lesson learned. Well done. Des Bryant has tied the game with a touchdown catch, 10-12 to go. Bryant was starting to get perhaps a little bit frustrated over on that Dallas sideline without a catch the entire game up until just moments ago. Slant was it caught by Bernard Berrien? No.
Oh, I tell you, that's one that Brett Favre would like to have back, and sometimes he throws it a little harder than what he has to get a ball in there. But if he had been able to hit Bernard Berrien in stride, there was a lot of field for Berrien to run, and there's a chance he scores a touchdown, because the only guy then that would have been able to make a play is the safety, and he would have been one-on-one on him.
Favre 12 out of 15 for 108 yards. Second down and 10 for Minnesota. Camarillo up to the 23-yard line. Third down upcoming.
Here's that first down play to Bernard Berrien. You're going to see here's the safety right here. He's the only one, and Berrien has a step there on the corner, and he would have taken that and continued right through here. He's been one-on-one on Alan Ball, and I'd like to have seen that foot race.
Do you go back to that play again here? 3rd and 5. We'll find out in a minute. Throws it straight in the ground. They were setting up a screen, it looked like, to Percy Harvin.
And we talked about trying to get Randy Moss a little bit more involved in the second half. They did that the first possession. This was a screen pass, but they've got the help, safety help, Alan Ball helping with Mike Jenkins. And after that first possession here, they've not been able to even give Randy any shots down the field. Look at what Minnesota has done in this game. They have not been able to create any big plays.
Des Bryant waiting on the punt. Punt it is. Flag comes down. Bryant from the 23. Still on his feet. Crosses midfield, throws away the would-be tackler, the punter Kluwe. And it's dropped to the 41, but again, a flag is down, and it was thrown right after contact was made, foot on ball.
During the kick, holding, return team number 20. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, Dallas. Timeout.
That's a penalty on Allen Ball, and that takes away a 37-yard return by Bryant.
You got to keep your composure. The thing that we least need is you losing your composure. Keep your focus, all right? Because it's going to be an opportunity and time is going to come where you got to make a play.
For the words of wide receivers coach George Sherman to Des Bryant, who was getting frustrated early in the game when no passes were coming his way.
Well, I would say that Des Bryant kept his composure, and they came to him and he made a play. It was great concentration right there, and we saw that punt return where he ran through the kicker Kluwe, and he's a physical runner when he has the ball in his hands. He's a lot like Adrian Peterson is when he's running the ball. I mean, this guy runs violently, and it's one of the reasons why he has been as banged up as he is. He doesn't go down easily, and he's going to learn because he's taken a lot of unnecessary punishment because of his style.
Second down and 5, and a give is to Barber, and he looks to be a yard and a half short of a first down. Well, you're really getting down to business here. 8-minute mark, 21 apiece. Each team 1-3. The season obviously is not over for the loser, but the numbers simply don't lie. You go back over the last 20 years, and only a handful of teams have started the year 1-4 and then made the playoffs.
If he's going to blitz in coverage, and then he drops underneath, and that's the guy, because of the offensive lineman in front of Romo, he never sees. He thought he had a clean shot to Jason Witten for an easy first down completion.
They have been perfect in the game on 3rd and less than 1, even 4th and 1. And the first time today, Minnesota stops them, and what a huge interception. Peterson to the 27.
Well, I think Dallas defensively has got to be pretty pleased with the job they've done overall on Adrian Peterson today. He came into this game as the league's 3rd leading rusher. He's coming out of the game now. It looks like he might have injured his foot or his ankle, but came into this game as the league's 3rd leading rusher, and the only reason he wasn't leading the league is because he had a bye week and had played one less game. But after giving up back-to-back 100-yard games, Dallas's run defense has been pretty good against one of the league's best.
Rookie Toby Gerhart is checked into the backfield, and they give him the football. Let's send it to Los Angeles to be for a game break.
The LaDainian Tomlinson resurgence tour continues today in Denver. He just took it in from 20 yards out. 4th touchdown of the season for LT. Ties the game at 17 apiece midway through the 4th quarter. Tom, Troy, and Pam.
Like occurred under 6.5 to go. A 3rd down and 2.
They got Percy Harvin in the backfield. Once again, we've seen them hand it to him, and we've seen him as a receiver.
Dallas scrambling to try and
First charge timeout.
get a timeout.
Dallas.
One of these teams will leave this venue with a 1-4 record, and will face the task of trying to become just the 6th team in the history of the NFL, going back to when they expanded to a 12-team format at 90 to get to the postseason.
Well, Dallas is showing blitz.
Blitz coming. Favre gets it away. First down. Randy Moss.
You know, that was obviously a nice first down there for Minnesota. With no safety help, Dallas rarely comes with no safety. Nobody in the middle of the field right here. So if somebody can beat someone inside, then you're talking about a touchdown. I thought that's what Favre was going to try to take advantage of, but he also had the one-on-one to Moss. And, of course, first things first, you want to get the first down.
Adrian Peterson back in the game. Appeared to stumble out of the initial break, and he's to the 16th. Don't forget, following our game from Minneapolis, it'll be the OT presented by Lowe's from Los Angeles. And then after that, game 2 of the National League Championship Series from Philadelphia.
Well, you know what Minnesota's mindset is right here. First and foremost, they want to come away with a touchdown, but they'd love to be able to milk this clock down, even though they only have, you know, under 20 yards to get to the goal line.
Coming up to make a nice tackle on Sensabaugh. It looked like Peterson had running room that he broken through.
It was a good tackle there by Gerald Sensabaugh. You're right on Adrian Peterson. Sensabaugh was the one who had the first opportunity to make the tackle on Percy Harvin on that return for a touchdown to start this second half and failed to make it.
Third down and 7. Harvin again in the backfield. Flag. It looked like early movement by the left tackle Bryant McKinney.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
You see Alan Ball, the safety, before that snap right here. He's talking to Michael Jenkins, the corner, and letting him know exactly what he can expect, the kind of help he was going to give on Randy Moss there on the outside. I still wouldn't be surprised, based on at least what Dallas showed there, that if they wouldn't come back with Moss and just give him a shot. They're working Alan Ball back over to the top now, over here, and giving the help to Terrence Newman.
3rd and 12. Looking for Moss, and broken up by Ball.
Well, you see, Alan Ball, he got wide as a safety, and that's why that was going to be an awfully tough play. But Favre put it the only spot he could get it, and that was a heck of a throw right there by Favre, and one that Moss had an opportunity to make. I mean, that's just not one.
The game, trying to bring your team down the field and get a win. What are you thinking about sitting there?
Well, right now you're just trying to get the ball down into a position to tie this thing up and you know, maybe send it into overtime, and then after that, of course, the touchdown. But you said it a little bit earlier. I mean, every game, every week, we saw them in the early games today. This is what they come down to. It's like you play these, you know, first 55 minutes, 57 minutes of a game, and then, okay, who's going to make the play at the end of a game to get it done? But I will tell you this, Tony Romo, over the years, not that he has won all those games, because we all know he hasn't. But more times than not, he puts his team in a position to win a game late in games. I think he really thrives on this situation as far as being able to make the calls at the line of scrimmage and go to a hurry-up offense.
Owusu Ansah met at the 19. Jesper Brinkley there to meet him. Well, for Romo, today's game, not nearly the yardage numbers, passing yards we've seen from Romo. 179, but 20 out of 27. The touchdown interception ratio pretty much in step with his season so far. Bryant running game. Jones, their leading receiver and their leading ball carrier.
I think his numbers are down because he executed the game plan the way that the coaches wanted him to. Of course, that last interception to E.J. Henderson really hurt.
Let's send it back to Los Angeles to Kurt Menefee.
You think the Vikings and Cowboys are desperate for a win? Try being San Francisco. Still looking for that first victory of the season. Alex Smith and Vernon Davis helping the cause. 17-yard score, and it puts them ahead of the Raiders late in the fourth quarter, 17-9. Still looking for win number 1. Tom, Troy, and Pam.
Kurt, thank you. 3:30 to play in Minneapolis.
And Jared Allen is not even on the field.
Blitz. Catch made by Witten, but coming up to make the tackle, Jamarcus Sanford.
I have been very impressed with the tackling of the Minnesota Vikings here today. On first down, we saw Felix Jones in the open field. Medio Williams comes up and makes an open field tackle. That time, Jamarcus Sanford. They've been doing that throughout this game.
Biggest play of the game so far for Dallas.
Taking his eyes off that one. There was going to be contact, but he gets a good release, and it looked like it just went right through his hands because he saw Chad Greenway waiting on him. If he catches that ball, he picks up the first down.
It's a good throw by Romo. All the way back to the 15-yard line. Camarillo is leveled at the 25. Well, next weekend, Terrell Pryor and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ranked number 1 until last night. Losers at Wisconsin will try and bounce back against Purdue. Some will see Indiana and Illinois on the Big Ten Network. Check local listings to find the game and start time in your area. Oh, you had to do it, didn't you?
What's this number 1 Ohio State stuff? What happened to them last night?
Well, you give it up to the Badgers. They played great game.
Who did?
Wisconsin.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely they did.
I'm not allowed to say the words and the things I really feel.
I know. Hey, that place was rocking. That was a good scene there in Madison. Your guy Barry Alvarez was smiling.
Oh, yeah. Adrian Peterson for a couple of yards. And I want to thank you for showing up at our meeting last night wearing the Jim Tressel red sweater vest and the red tie.
I thought I'd make you feel good. And then what happened? They got the opening kickoff returned on them for a touchdown.
Yeah, the second year in a row you get stuck with me and they get beat. Your regular partner, of course, Joe Buck, is standing by with Tim McCarver. Philadelphia, game 2 of the National League Championship Series. But first things first, Brad Childress, the number 2, a second win.
You saw Brad Childress checking out that play sheet. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Adrian Peterson, and right here, this would be a good chance to try to pick up something on a screen or something, just a high percentage completion. But I think they may save that for third down.
Cowboys only 1 timeout left. Dallas has been stingy, so stingy against the run through the entire game. Will the Cowboys take a timeout? It is a Dallas timeout.
Well, they have been stingy defensively against the run today, and they've done a nice job in that regard. And right now I think that whatever happens in this game, if Dallas goes on and loses, then you're going to say the same things that they've been saying here over the first 4 weeks of the season, and that is that, well, penalties and then turnovers. They had 2 turnovers here in this ball game, costly one on the last one that set up the field goal for Minnesota, and then Minnesota only had the 1 turnover which Adrian Peterson was a gift there in the first quarter.
Vikings have scored 10 points off those Dallas turnovers. 3rd and 6. Favre to throw it to Greg Lewis. And a flag comes in all the way back at the 40-yard line. And this will be pass interference against Dallas, and you can't blame Wade Phillips for being upset.
Well, what Wade is trying to point out was that was an uncatchable ball.
Defense, number 21, spot foul, automatic, first down.
There was definitely contact on the play, but in this situation, I think more times than not, you know, the side judge right there is the one who threw it. They would let that go. But Michael Jenkins last week, he had a couple of pass interference calls against the Tennessee Titans, and he was definitely in contact on that play.
And now the Cowboys are out of timeouts. Of course, there will be stoppage at the 2-minute warning. No gain for Peterson on first down. Two minutes to play. Dallas trying to get it back to Tony Romo for one final gasp. (24-21), 2-minute warning. Adrian Peterson officially has not fumbled one time this year, although it looked like that was his fumble early in the game. Can you trust him to give him the ball here at the end of the game?
Well, if you can't trust your best player with the ball when the game's on the line, I think you got the wrong guy.
They give it to him. He's got that thing wrapped up. It'll bring up 3rd down and a yard. Dallas out of timeouts. Obviously needing to stop here, and after a punt, the best Dallas can hope for is to have the ball with about 35 seconds left in the game.
Well, I'm a little surprised that, you know, we don't see Dallas at least getting together, you know, Romo and these wide receivers to talk about what they plan to do if they do get the ball back with 30 seconds. Because if Minnesota doesn't pick up the first down here, they're going to get the ball back.
They'll hand it to Peterson, and he is short of the first down. So you take 40 off of where we are now, and that's about where you figured it, Troy Aikman. About 35 seconds left when Dallas gets the ball.
Yeah, it's going to be under that now because of the fact that they were able to take some time off the clock on that last run. And so they're going to have under 30 seconds by the time they punt this one off, or by the time Dallas gets it.
Clock ticking with Dallas out of timeouts. 29 seconds left. Dallas jumped out in front on a touchdown pass to Roy Williams. To begin the second half, down 7, Percy Harvin. A touchdown on the kickoff return. Each team trading touchdowns thereafter. A critical interception thrown by Romo on a 3rd down and 1 under a Ryan Longwell field goal. And now with under 30 seconds to play, Kluwe to punt. Find it hard to believe if he's going to give Des Bryant a chance to return this punt.
Get away and have room to run, but because he didn't, that chewed up a lot of time on the clock. So now Dallas gets the ball backed up inside the 5-yard line with just 13 seconds left in the game. I guess inside the 10-yard line.
Jared Allen told us on practice Friday that Brad Childress has handled this team marvelously. Not a lot of tension. Everybody very calm even after the Monday night loss. believing his team would get it together and get a win here today. They're 13 seconds away. That is a catch. Up to the 27-yard line by Roy Williams. How in the world did he bring this in?
Well, how did Asher Allen not intercept it? I mean, Asher Allen was in a great position to intercept the ball, and he didn't. I've heard of receivers alligator arming it, but I've never heard of a corner doing that.
And 6 seconds remain. Bud Grant knows all about a Dallas Hail Mary. Jones going to try and make something happen. And he'll lateral the football to Roy Williams, who throws it all the way to Tony Romo. And this is still a live ball. Romo cuts to the middle of the field. And that is an illegal lateral there, and this thing is over. It's worth a shot. They'll continue to play it because you never know.
The only thing missing is the Stanford band.
Des Bryant throwing it all the way back. They're still playing. And now it's covered up. Chad Greenway's out of gas. And Brett Favre and the Vikings go to 2-3. Final count of 24-21 Minnesota. We're back to Minneapolis to wrap things up after these messages.